The original Watch Dogs was one of Ubisoft's largest launches and biggest financial successes, but at the same time it was absolutely hammered by critics and fans alike. It almost goes without saying that Watch Dogs 2 is going to be extra scrutinized, and I can only assume that some extra effort and money went into its creation.
Go suck a bag of dicks, you fucking lowlife!
Whenever I prepare myself for these videos, I like to keep a document open and list everything I love and hate about a particular game. Well, my list for Watch Dogs 2 is gigantic. A lot had to be cut for this vid. Its praises are equaled by the things I found negative about it, so I had to sit back and be truthful to myself. Is Watch Dogs 2 fun? Did I enjoy myself? Yes. Yes, I did. I'd be lying if I said otherwise. Do I think it's worth picking up right away at full price? Maybe. Depends on what you're really in the mood for. Your expectations need to be in the right place for Watch Dogs 2, and I hope that this rather chunky video review can help you curtail any runaway notions of how terrible or how amazing Watch Dogs 2 is. The original Watch Dogs was a brooding game about revenge and redemption. The rabbit hole got deeper and darker the further you explored it. Watch Dogs 2 is about hacker kids tormenting Silicon Valley. One of the biggest issues I have with Watch Dogs 2 is that there isn't a real story. In fact, most of the characters aren't real characters. After a while, I got bored with their name DedSec and their mission to get more followers and bring down corrupt America, and started calling them the Cyber Police, here to backtrace your problems to ensure consequences will never be the same.
We're gonna hit him where it giga hurts.
There's Marcus, the spectacled everyman with a fabulous wardrobe, the overly emotional hoodie, Kylo Ren, hairdo with the power to paint stuff, Rob Zombie, and the other dude the gang doesn't include during most of their exploits and probably forgot he was there.
Let's cornhole these motherfuckers.
Sure, they have real names, but most of them I legitimately don't remember off the top of my head, and I don't care enough to look them up. My names are better and more memorable. None of them really have backstories, or motivations, or foibles. The designated villain for the game is Dushan, which is just a setup to have the heroes call him Douche, who I must stress is not actually a nemesis. And for that matter, his activities aren't evil or morally gray, just douchey. Any interaction between the heroes and this character are totally superficial. There never feels like a drive for the heroes to stop the villain, or the villain to stop the heroes. It's more like their two existences are at odds with each other. Douche likes to be rich and powerful, while the cyber police like to topple things that are rich and powerful. It's more of a personality conflict, and less of a rivalry.
Mr. Johnson, all alimony payments are complete.
Whoa!
for 1
No!
year.
What are you talking about? A year of alimony payments? That doesn't... Hold on a second. What the... Did my ex-wife put you up to this? What the fuck?
In reality, the heroic team probably does just as much damage, if not more damage, to the theoretical imaginary San Francisco in Watch Dogs 2 than the villain. And that's not meant to be some sort of whoa deep noodle scratcher. By all definitions, DedSec is a corporate and domestic terrorist group, no matter how cutesy they try to make themselves out to be. Committing large-scale fraud and 3D printing assault rifles with bright colors? How absolutely adorable and non-threatening.
He's in the system. Nobody's gotten that far. This is like the secret cow level.
I've said it before at one point or another, Ubisoft does good funny. Far Cry Blood Dragon, the Trials, and Rayman series are all proof that they can be hysterical when they want to be. Watch Dogs 2 tries, at times, to be funny, but at other times it tries to be deadly serious. The final result is it fails at both. If written properly as a comedy, Watch Dogs 2 could have been infinitely better. The tale of a ragtag group of super cheesy and overly stereotypical hackers who set out to make the world better, but absent-mindedly end up making it worse, and at the end of the day pat themselves on the back for all of their achievements. That's almost what happens here. The hacking that takes place in the game is almost pandering to the audience. I really wanted to see a hacking sequence where two people hammered away on the same keyboard. Watch Dogs 2 is sort of a bastardization of other successful Ubi franchises. That stun gun and the quadcopter found here, those are Sam Fisher's, give them back! He needs them to save the world from a blacklist or a doubled agent or a theoretical chaos or something. The snap cover system, the stealth preferred gameplay, they're both Splinter Cell born too, though I think the snap cover system was smoother in Splinter Cell and The Division. I've said it about the original Watch Dogs, and it holds true here. This is probably the closest we'll ever get to an open-world Splinter Cell game. The free-running, open world, and love of climbing towers, that's Assassin's Creed. Happily, you don't need to climb towers in this game to unlock the world. In fact, they joke about it, poking fun at themselves. This time, they hid the usual cornucopia of Ubisoft map glitter on the rooftops. You can find skill points, new clothes, money, or new skins for your guns or cars up there. Find those scissor lifts. They will become your best friend, and don't worry, they're just like segways, they are totally untip-overable. My first hour or two with the game took a lot of adjusting on my eyes. I kept seeing jagged lines around objects and characters. I'm hoping that on PC the game looks better and runs well, because on the PlayStation 4, the game looks like it could use some anti-aliasing. Bad. I was also sad to see how few people there were on the streets. The game world felt empty and dead. Not nearly as dead as The Crew, but Ubisoft seems to be staying away from the beautiful crowded streets that were found in Assassin's Creed Unity. San Francisco is a gorgeous city, and Ubi clearly took their time recreating it as best they could for the game. But like Chicago in Watch Dogs, the city doesn't truly have a role to play in the game, and that saddens me. In Grand Theft Autos 4 and 5, Liberty City and San Andreas have real dynamic roles, and by the end of the games, I knew my way around based on how the story was crafted. At any given time, I had no idea where I was in Watch Dogs 2, what part of town I was in, so I simply fast-traveled around, or used GPS for absolutely everything. Yes, this city is gigantic, but it's a lot of dead, unused, wasted space. So to me it feels like this painstaking recreation of a whole city isn't utilized to its fullest potential. There could be some activities that might make me learn the city better. For instance, car chases, or even foot chases. The police chased me maybe 5 times throughout the entire game, and they were super easy to lose, thereby making them a toothless threat. And I can't recall any missions where I had to chase anyone by car, or on foot, or ride motorcycles to catch a train, or jump to an 18-wheeler that wouldn't slow down on the highway. Boats were only used maybe once or twice, and yet the map is so big for the sake of a faithful recreation, but it's not used for the sake of the game. And that's a poor design decision on Ubi's behalf. With every open-world game, Ubi has to weigh the simulation versus the game, and the game seemed to lose out this time. Watch Dogs 2 also breaks one of the great 10 open-world game commandments. Its currency isn't worth a damn. Cars are for sale, but why would you need to buy cars when there are cars everywhere? And every time you steal a different one, you get a valuable in the glove box, so why waste money on buying a car when you can gain money by stealing them? Weapons? Why spend currency on buying or building weapons when every enemy drops one? The gunplay isn't great anyway. I used distractions and hacks and melee takedowns for 99% of the game. I never spent a single dollar on ammunition. When there's no need to buy weapons or cars or skins for either, the only thing left is clothes! I bought every single item of clothing I could find, and I still had a shameful amount of cash left over. There's no reason to be frugal about anything in Watch Dogs 2. Money just falls from the sky, and you barely need it for anything.
What the fuck is going on?
My final large-scale complaint: the AI is very, very dumb in this. Enemies will stop checking on their dead friends and dogs if they get a funny text from someone. Granted, it makes for fun ways to torment them from afar, but right off the bat, Marcus can be pretty overpowered with just his phone hack tool. My final small-scale complaint? These crane controls are horrible, and every time I had to use a crane I wanted to cry tiny, tiny tears. But, on to the positives. The licensed soundtrack for Watch Dogs 2 is great. Way better than Watch Dogs 1. The cars control much better too. They aren't amazing, none of them feel like they have any suspension at all, but they go when you hit the gas and they turn when you want them to. Enough said. I love that your inventory isn't jammed with every single weapon you pick up. You carry a stun gun and 2 weapons of choice. That is perfect. You don't need any more. I loved not spending 30 seconds flipping through my pistols to find that one pistol I wanted. In Watch Dogs 2, it was the only one I carried, and even then I barely used it. The RC quadcopter and car are nice additions to the gameplay, even if they are stolen from Sam Fisher. Used in tandem, the game has quite a few decent environmental mazes and puzzles to solve. Need to find a way into a building? The quadcopter makes a great quick recon tool to map out your route. The car can jump quite high while Marcus can't jump at all when not in free roam mode, so I ended up using it to get access over barbed fences or to create distractions and lure enemies into traps. I also liked using the gang warfare and police tip-off lines. When hacking an enemy's phone, you can send a notice to the police or to a rival gang that a wanted person has been found, and then gangs or law enforcement begin a raid. It's also a blast to tinker with the variety of ways to distract or eliminate enemies from the playing field without using firearms, and that's really where Watch Dogs 2 shines. I did, however, feel really bad about a time when I called in an anonymous tip on a random security guard. He was protecting a go-kart battery that I wanted and was trying to steal, and the police killed him on sight. Another sobering moment I had, I accidentally ran over a dog owner with a forklift. The dog just laid down by the owner's side and didn't leave her. As dumb as the human AI is, the King9 AI hit me right in the gut. Finally, I must praise the fact that there is a difficulty selector in Watch Dogs 2. Most open-world games skip on this, but it makes Watch Dogs 2 infinitely better. Putting the game on the hardest difficulty makes the player rely less on guns and more on gadgets and stealth play. It also makes the points spent into new skills feel much more rewarding, so if you're a stealth fan at all, I suggest putting it on the hardest difficulty right away. You'll die in only a shot or two, and it is great. I enjoyed Watch Dogs 2 much more than Assassin's Creed Syndicate. Make no mistake though, Watch Dogs 2 is this year's Assassin's Creed game, and a wire cloth monkey for those of us starving for more Splinter Cell. Is it better than Watch Dogs 1? Story is worse, gameplay is a little better. It's a Ubi game that goes in the right direction, but not far enough in the right direction. It's stealthy, but not stealthy enough. It's funny, but it ruins its humor by trying to be too serious too often. They can and have done better. I'm giving this a worth buy, but know that it is squeaking in just under the line. Players can have a ton of fun within Watch Dogs 2, but the list of negatives about the game is almost as long as the list of positives. But if you're the patient type, who can wait for this to go on sale, you're much better off. It's a competent game, but not a must-play experience of the year. But it's definitely not a hot mess either.